For those of you thinking of using interfacing, regular fusible or non-fusible, woven, non-woven interfacing for face masks, I want to show you something. This is a t-shirt that I made for my son for some play or band project or something, like, I don't know, 25 years ago. And yes, I still have it. I washed it. This is a lining fabric. But what I want to show you, I washed it and all the color ran, and now it's, oh, look at that old t-shirt. Look at the interfacing. I would have done, I didn't stitch it before because it was like a school project that he needed a white t-shirt with a G on it. Now, I don't know if he wore it like only a couple of times and then it got packed away. And then I got it out and threw it in with the wash, and all of the interfacing fell apart. So I know that one of the research things I was doing was about the fabrics that people have been using for face masks. There you go. That's your interfacing test. And I probably used Heat and Bond Light. Now what I'm going to do, this is a great project for almost any machine, but this is the 6212C, which is a free arm. And what I'm going to do is stitch. I'm going to actually go around and stitch around the whole edges so I can wash it and get the color out of the white. And I don't know, this is lining fabric that is frayed. So this is just kind of a, oh, why don't we keep it and fix it? So I'm going to do that, but what I wanted to tell you, in addition to the interfacing falling apart, I'm using regular tissue paper on the inside of the t-shirt. And that is going to act as a stabilizer because this fabric is very thin, nylon lining, and the t-shirts are a pain to sew through. So the tissue paper on the inside is going to stabilize the fabric and allow the needle and the feed dogs to hopefully move right along. Now this is also a good project to do when you're testing out a machine. You don't want to ruin an expensive project. Or you get tension or bobbin problems. And you have to shift the, I mean, there's a lot of short here, and there's a couple of wide curves. This is really easy in the sense where the curves are big and easy to do, but you still have to shift the fabric around. And I'm using the narrowest zigzag stitch to do this because the edges are already frayed. So this, you know, the t-shirt doesn't really mean anything in a lot of ways, but it, you know, it's a t-shirt I made when my son was doing lots of stuff in school. There's no reason not to keep it. And I just noticed, no wonder this is, there's another G on the back, and I didn't even notice that because I was looking at the one on the front. So I have two of them to do. catch the fabric underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this, but this is a couple of things. One, I wouldn't recommend using interfacing for your face masks. Two, there's no reason why you can't repair old clothes. And three, there's no reason why you always have to throw out a sewing machine if it's from 1984. The machine itself seems to be running fine. It's always better when you can see the item that's being sewn, don't you think? The t-shirt got in the way a little bit there. So it's not perfect, but now it won't fall apart. And I think I've asked my son, you know, what is this t-shirt from? Because every time I go to throw it away, it jumps back out of the garbage bag. I think he played a G note in a band thing. He was in the band, and I think he was the G note. And I'm not sure what the wings are, except the notes might have been flying around. Who knows? So I've done this side. Now I'm going to do the other side, and I'll also go over the wings. But see, I think I kind of ruined this shirt when I washed it. I think he wore it maybe twice, and it was in with his other old clothes. And so the lining ran in a regular wash, both the yellow and the reddish color, and the interfacing completely fell apart. So this is more about face masks, and people are using t-shirt fabric, and you might have any kind of a lining fabric is tightly woven. You might think that's a good way to make a face mask, but the interfacing for that inner liner is not going to hold up. Because I don't think this shirt has been like washed repeatedly for 20 years or anything. So, and you can see this obviously fell apart, and the letter went over here before, but that's just all chips now. So I apologize for the t-shirt getting in the way, but this works great as a free arm. It's just so much easier. Yes, you can do it with any other machine, and what you end up doing is holding the t-shirt in like a tube and then sewing wherever you're sewing directly under the needle. But it's, so like a sock. If you picture a sock, it would be in a big circle. So you can do it with a regular machine, but a free arm makes it much easier. Now, some of you may have been following that I had help from Vintage Singers Group to fix this machine, the needle position. But whether you fix a machine yourself or whether you drop it off to somebody else to be fixed, when you get it back, you should test it. And that's kind of what I'm doing with the t-shirt here. So because the wings are just different, I'm going to put this on let's just say it's stitch number 6 on this machine. It looks like it's I have to look it up. They're all similar. I mean, one's a blind stitch, one's an elastic stitch, and I'm not sure what this other one is called, but let's just go ahead and do this. Now what the machine is supposed to be doing here is going up and down. I'm going to make it a little bit wider. By going up and down, I mean side to side. And it is doing it, but because I'm curving around a little bit in the shape of the wings, it's probably not as noticeable as it would have been if I were doing it in a straight line. And again, the t-shirt might get in the way. But what it does is give like a whole airy effect to the stitching. So yes, I was interrupted with that, and it gave me the opportunity to get the book out and look at the special stitches. So again, this is the Singer 6212C. Number 3 on the machine is the zigzag stitch. Number 4 is the blind stitch. Here's the diagram. So there's for your buttonhole and straight stitching. 3 is a zigzag stitch. 4 is the blind stitch. And they don't show that diagram again. 5 is a multi-stitch zigzag. Mending, overcasting, joining, or reinforcing can all be done using the multi-stitch zigzag. And then 6 is called the M stitch. Right there. And that's what I was just doing on the wings on the other side of the t-shirt. So, you know, I'm glad I have the manual. And this is something that I'm looking for. I'm going to get the straight stitch plate. These are different accessories that you can get. I already have a lint brush. The one drawback is they don't give you the part numbers. And because the machine is so old, these are the original accessories. You can't always trust that what you're buying went with the machine originally if you don't have the part number. So, but there are ways to look it up. So, anyway, back to what I was doing. So I was using the M stitch on the wings, and what that does is go, I think 4 stitches and then swing to the right. And even though I used it to go around a shape, I'm actually testing the machine. So now, and whenever you change the stitches, you want to make sure your needle is up. Let's go back to the regular zigzag, which is number 3. And I'm working on the G on the back of the shirt. And this didn't fall apart the same way the front part did. I'm going to go to number 4. And that phone might ring again, so I'll stop here. But now you can see that when you service your machine, or when you get it repaired or serviced, it's a good idea to find a project like this, or even mending that you have to do, or you can just get a piece of fabric and just work through the stitches to make sure that the machine is working the way you expect it to. I finished the t-shirt, and I just want to add that something else that you gain from that. Well, first of all, I was the one who made the adjustment, so part of it with me was, okay, did I do it good enough? But also, even if someone else works on the machine, now I have a better feel for the machine. Not because I adjusted it or took the top off or any of that stuff, but because I sewed with it. And so much of my sewing history is connected to antique machines, except it was exactly like this machine that I used for 10 years when I was making my son's clothes and craft items and things like that. But at the same time, this is a different machine than I had back then. Each machine is an individual. And now I have a better feel for this machine. I'm completely confident all the stitches work. I did a test buttonhole. Everything works. And now what I can do, this is a number 40 Singer cabinet that would hold like the 500A or the 1591 or 1588, any of the full-size machines, except this one. There are no hinge pin holes in this machine. But what I can do is open up the cabinet. I have another Singer top. I'm just going to put a Singer top where the hole is. Use this machine to do the final stitching on a quilt that I'm finishing. But before I went to the quilt, I wanted to run the machine through some things so that I know the machine better. I know what to expect. I know what I can get out of it. And you do this with any kind of machine, whether it's brand new. I was going to say even if it's computerized, but I've never had a computerized machine because, I mean, one little thing goes wrong, and how do you fix that? So, but any of the older machines, whether it's White's or Singer, or any of the other 15 clones, getting to know the machine is where you get the confidence for sewing.